Congress today.
It's time for the shout out. How many countries are involved in building the International Space Station? If you think you know it, shout it out. Is it 5, 9, 12, or 16? You've got 3 seconds. Go. 16 nations led by the U.S. are helping to build the orbiting outpost. That's your answer, and that's your shout out.
Space Shuttle Discovery is there right now, helping to expand the International Space Station. The shuttle and its crew arrived at the ISS yesterday. They're delivering the final parts for a solar power system. This will allow the station to double its crew to 6 people. They're also dropping off a Japanese astronaut who's replacing one of the current ISS crew members. Well, that space station is in orbit about 250 miles above the Earth's surface. But NASA has its sights set on a future mission. It's a little further away. We're talking about a trip of about 240,000 miles to this little place called the Moon. But as Sean Calebs explains, without funding, the mission may never get off the ground.
This is how NASA sees the future, taking a 4-man capsule to the Moon, but not until 2020, an ambitious program called Constellation. But the agency could be hampered by a problem space pioneers faced more than half a century ago. Concerns deftly spelled out in the 1983 movie, The Right Stuff.
That's right. No Bucks, no Buck Rogers.
Workers moving forward on the successor to the space shuttle, which flies for the last time next year. But funding for space science is always at risk. While engineers work, the Obama administration is evaluating NASA's budget against the reality of a sky-high federal deficit.
Great nations have always been explorers. If you look through history, the great nations that have always brought technological change, economic change, have always been the leaders, have been those on the cutting edge of exploration throughout history.
The Gulf Coast has a lot at stake. Work is already going on in the Michoud Assembly Center just outside New Orleans for that planned moon mission. The Stennis Space Center in Mississippi is testing a new booster rocket. And Huntsville, Alabama, long known as Rocket City, is the hub of the engineering design. It's also the home of former NASA scientist Homer Hickam.
A lot of us true believers have over the years said, hey, we got to get out of low Earth orbit. We got to go somewhere in order to energize the space program and energize the people.
You may remember Hickam as the rocket boy from the 1999 film October Sky. The world has changed dramatically from those early days.
You got to remember, we were all terrified of the Russians back then, and it was like us against them, and we were all very competitive against the communists, and we got to beat them.
NASA says it needs about $3 billion in 2009 for the Constellation moon mission program, $3.25 billion in 2010. Then it spikes up to more than $6 billion in 2011. With the space shuttle retiring next year, it will be at least 5 years before the U.S. ventures into space again, leaving Russia, China, India, and Europe a substantial window to get ahead.
We don't want to be sitting here watching everybody else going out there, because they're going to do it.
NASA is a can-do agency. You got to give it the job to do, and also the tools to do it, which means money. They need the money to make this happen.
In simple terms, no Bucks, no Buck Rogers. Sean Calebs, CNN, New Orleans.
Don't forget, it's Women's History Month. We're putting together special reports all throughout